Welcome to the 2350 Effect.
And welcome everyone. Happy Sunday and welcome to the 2350 Effect. I am the co-host of the 2350 Effect, Damian Kinsey, and we have my co-host who's here every week, every Sunday with me. Introduce yourself.
Hi, everyone. I am Tanya Farron, delighted to be the co-host, co-creator of the 2350 Effect with Damian Kinsey. We are excited to bring you a great show tonight, and I think you're just going to love it. It's going to be great, and it's going to be fun.
All right. So we do have a guest today. As always, the 2350 Effect is all about having those opportunities where we highlight people in our community. A lot of people who are not visible on LinkedIn. Some people are visible on LinkedIn, and some people where we want to tell a different story behind what they do. And this week we have Leslie Flowers, who is a 10-time author, mindful leadership consultant, coach, all around traveler. She has done so many things in life, and she has a new book that she wants to talk about. Leslie Flowers, welcome to the stage. How are you?
Thank you. I'm wonderful. Hello, you too. Have a few feathers for you.
I love them. I love it. I love that you got all fancy for us.
Nice.
Of course.
Love it. I just want to, go ahead.
No, go ahead, Dr. Farron.
I just want to thank everybody who's in the audience. If you'll drop a hello in the comment section so that we can see, who is watching tonight. We want you to interact. Please drop in questions, comments. Tell us where you're from. We would love all of that tonight. So thank you so much. And hello, Christy.
Yeah, Christy's the one that virtual summit earlier this year during one of the lives, I gave away my 2 tickets and she got one. And, she's just been with us ever since. Great connection.
She has. She's amazing. Absolutely amazing. And Rashida, hello. Welcome.
Oops.
So Leslie, tell people a little bit about yourself. So for those people who don't know Leslie Flowers.
Well, you gave me 10 questions. I figured you'd be fire them at me. I was studying.
No, I just wanted a quick 30-second introduction of yourself. Something
30
people don't know about you. Yeah,
okay.
then we're gonna go into something else when we start the show with.
Okay. So, kind of the third or fourth half of my life, it's been filled with a lot of adventure and joy. Not a lot keeps me down. I'm a philosopher. I'm a double Sagittarius, so I get lots of ideas. I don't always want to finish them. And I went to college at San Francisco State and studied drama and humanities. And I've been writing ever since then. And I've been in movies and walked the runway when I was 17 and 18 in San Francisco. And went to college there. I flew troops into Vietnam in the 60s, flew for Northwest Orient, 1972 domestically. I just always had this bug to travel. And I was going to find a way to do it where it was cost effective. And then out in California, I met my husband. We moved to North Carolina, had 2 children. They now have 2 children each, and everybody's driving. And so here I am playing on LinkedIn while my families are off growing. I found a new family right here with you. How's that?
I love it. I'm on a new screen tonight, so I apologize. My mouse was sliding the wrong way. But yes, love our LinkedIn family. We love that you're part of our LinkedIn family.
Thank you.
All right. So we always start this off the effect this way. So the 50 effect is all about making sure that people are maximizing their day, their opportunities. Don't let 10 minutes or 5 minutes disrupt the other 23 hours and 50 minutes of your day. So we always start with this segment called all right, so it's called Laugh, Call, or Text. Who is that person, individual, or whatever that made you laugh, call, or text, or thing of the week?
This week,
Yep, this week. What made you laugh, call, or text someone?
that would be Paulette Hallam, my friend in the United Kingdom. And the reverse is also true. So we make each other laugh. We call each other and we text.
Nice.
I love that. That's awesome. That's awesome. I want to tell you what happened today. We are at the beach right now. So we're in Panama City Beach, and my husband and I were sitting under a tent and on the beach and with our kids, and this other family had little kids, like probably 10 and under, and 3 of the kids were in like a little rowboat, and the big kid, the oldest daughter, she's pulling these kids and walking through the ocean, and then she hops in the boat and she's rowing these kids, and I was like, that is a take charge girl. I love her. Sign her up for something. Like, I want to know her name. Like, we were just giggling watching this older sister just take care of all these kids and get everybody in. And so really my reason for saying that is, like, take that time to just absorb your surroundings, right? Look at where you're at, enjoy life, think through life like a kid, like how kids are. She was having a blast, like just having the best time in this little rowboat with her siblings. So cute.
That's the children are masters of imagination, and they don't fear. So they're not worried about getting their knee bumped in the rowboat or tipping over, because their imagination is flush. And that's the one thing that diminishes to an extent as we grow. But the real fun is getting it back and enjoying that. Yeah.
Nice. And no, your phone wasn't ringing, so I guess it did the work. So just remember, every week when you come here, that no, your phone isn't ringing. My laptop call or text was about kindness. I had a few friends call me, text me, reach out to me about advice on how to communicate and kind of have a conversation, difficult conversation about kindness with people. So I guess that was my theme this week, because I went in a few audio rooms. It was about that perspective of both sides of, seeing other people's point of view, empathy, understanding, and kindness. So cool. All right. Nice.
Yes. And so, Damien, thanks so much for that laugh, caller, text. It's so great. Leslie, I have really got to know you probably the last 9 months, I would say, somewhere along that path, started in some audio rooms with you and have really been drawn to your content and what you do. And so, this is a question, Damien and I, when we were preparing for your interview, we wanted to know, like, how does your upbringing and career path shape Leslie Flowers' personality? Like, what makes Leslie Flowers tick? Like, tell us about you. I want to know more about you as a person.
Well, I had a pretty tough childhood. I mean, I had everything, but my dad was raised by a single mom in New York. Both my grandmothers lost their husbands in the Spanish flu epidemic. And my dad was ruled with an iron fist, lots of yelling, lots of hitting. And my mother was raised by a maid because her mother was working all the time to raise her and her brother. So while my mother was kind of quiet and hidden, really never got to come out of her shell, my father was a warlord. So while I made it through pretty well, I was hit and yelled at and really didn't have a very positive look on life in general, or I shouldn't have. But all along, I was dancing with the Boston Conservatory of Music. I was in musical theater. I was singing and dancing. So my spirit survived all of that. It was worse for my brother and sister, the younger ones. right? And our parents don't always know how to change or even what they're doing is wrong. That's what happened to them. So you wouldn't think that I would have done very well, right, in that kind of environment. But oh, please, I got into San Francisco State, which was the #2 drama school in the country. And I had just spent a summer at UCLA and had Burt Lancaster in the audience when I performed. I mean, it was just, I was like 16. And then I did modeling in San Francisco and was invited to Francis Ford Coppola's opening of American Zoetrope all those years ago on Harrison Avenue. So I was a skinny pickle, right? Big mouth, gorgeous, but I didn't know it. That's one of the things I've discovered at the other end of my life. I was unable to see my soul. I couldn't see how I could be really beautiful. And now when I see the pictures of myself, I go, damn, too bad I didn't know that back then. Right. So I went to San Francisco State, and then I got the itch and I signed up for Northwest Orient Airlines and flew domestically. I was in Minneapolis, St. Paul, and oh gosh, flew with Rosemary Clooney and the Chad Mitchell Trio. This was a long time ago. Came back to San Francisco and decided I wanted to fly to Asia, in the Far East. It was really expensive. So right across the Bay Bridge was a charter air in Oakland Airport, which is a charter base. And I signed up with one of the charter airlines taking troops into and out of Vietnam in the 60s. So I'd leave my little house in San Francisco in my convertible TR3, drive across the bridge and be gone for 10 days. We'd go 2 days to Hawaii, stay 2 days in Hawaii, then 2 days in the Philippines, drop off the troops in Vietnam, pick up the ones going home, have a couple of days in in Tokyo, and then home through what was it? Anchorage, Alaska, or sometimes we'd fly out to Fort Dix, New Jersey, and drop off the military folks, and then we'd ferry the plane at 4,000 feet, only 4,000 feet across the whole country. You can at night. The coming across the country that close to the ground with all the lights was pretty amazing. Then I worked for a stock brokerage company, met my husband, got married. We moved back to North Carolina, and that was like 50 years ago. Started raising kids. And so that's me. I mean, you know, I was a band booster president for 9 years, right? Competition band stuff. I was always busy doing some sort of entertainment. That's me.
That's amazing. Thank you for sharing that with us.
Okay, good.
So you brought up some interesting things, because when you were talking at some of it, I was like, I have no clue what she's talking about, because because Dr. Farron is from over there, and she can visualize what the areas what you're saying. So when you start talking about New Jersey, I can visually understand what you're saying. So when you're talking about spaces in San Francisco, I was like, I can't visualize anything you're saying because I haven't been there before. But I'm glad somebody who's been there before can visualize that. Speaking of that, things that I can relate to. I just found out this week you were originally born in Brooklyn. Is that correct?
Yes, in Crown Heights Hospital. Yes, I was born in Brooklyn, but we left at 3 when I was 3 because I knew it was going to be hell there. My parents took me away.
How did you get to San Francisco? And because you talk about having all these experiences in San Francisco and being in California, and these experiences was just so amazing. How did you get there, get out there, be able to get into modeling, get into acting, and then eventually fly troops? Like how did you because Crown Heights, Brooklyn, and San Francisco, how does that meet each other?
Well, when I was 3, we moved to Massachusetts. We was with my father. He went to Cooper Union at 15 and graduated. They only took 100 people. And this is the other part of having a brilliant father who was abused, who abuses, very impatient. So till I was in my 50s, I didn't think I was very smart because I could never measure up, right? Never really in his eyes. So at some point, we moved from Massachusetts down to North Carolina. Hiya, Nick. We moved to North Carolina, and my father was working. When we moved there, he got a position at Lockheed. So out in Sunnyvale. That's how we got. So I was like in 9th grade, and the whole family moved across country. We lived in Palo Alto, where Stanford is. It's about 45 minutes from San Francisco. Now, mind you, there was nothing below Palo Alto. If you know California, I mean, there was Moffett Field, but there was nothing between Palo Alto and Moffett Field. And now the place is crazy. I mean, it's like crazy. And isn't that what you wanted to know, is how I got there? That's how I got there.
Yes,
My dad.
definitely. I just want to know, how do you how did he how
But
did
all
you
the
get
things I did, I just I don't know. I'm the person with the ideas and don't always want to finish them. So I love to come up with ideas. I'm better at them now, right? But if it sounded good, I was going to do it. There was kind of no fear. I never worried about money or anything. I guess that's because my parents made sure I had what I wanted, but we weren't wealthy. Money was never a real precipitator for me. I was even, and one of, before I became a stewardess, right before I got married, 1971, I worked for a figure salon chain in San Francisco. And I won all the sales contests for 3 years, right? I could sell a drowning man a cup of water. The people would go the other way when they saw me coming, right? I mean, I got so good at this stuff, it was really a game. But then there came a time when I didn't like the way it felt. So I stopped doing sales because it's really kind of, I mean, yes, I believed in the product, but I believed in myself and making the money and winning the awards more than helping the people.
I want to ask you another question that we didn't really.
Well, let me cough. Go ahead. You can ask.
Sure. Of course. I know that you have studied a lot about the law of attraction, and I'm curious, and I may be completely wrong, but I am curious if that was something when you said you didn't realize a lot of this until you were in your 50s. Was that a turning point for you at that point in time in your life, or is that a later in life discovery?
So I was 45 years in corporate America while the kids were growing. And I worked for the last 10 years, I worked for startup companies, and I was the master executive assistant. I liaised with the board. I helped them raise money. I was the only administrative person. And then I retired and went into personal development. So for 25 years, I've been doing transformational work. I've done all landmarks work. I've done, some quantum physics, metaphysics. And so the real deep study really came about 16 years ago when I loved all of personal and professional development and leadership and transformation and what was the originating incident. Why do you feel so bad? What was it that happened? I just loved all that part of it. I'm very much in my head, right? And I just love to figure stuff out. So I really enjoyed those. And then I got touched by The Secret. You remember the book and the movie, The Secret?
Me too. Okay. Yes.
Yeah. So that was the first time I ever saw Bob Proctor. I didn't know who half those people were, but I loved it. So I started a meetup and called The Secret Society. And every month, all these people interested, this is like 2007, right?
Right.
Everybody would come together and we would, have law of attraction fairs, and we'd studied each one of the practitioners in The Secret. I mean, it was a real hot topic. And then one day I got an email in 2007, and the rule was, and it still is, if you don't know who it is, don't open it. And for God's sakes, do not click any links. But I was having such a good time with all this. Something told me to open the email from a stranger and click the link. And when I clicked the link, I ended up on Bob Proctor's site.
Mhm.
And I've been asking, boy, this is really fun talking about this stuff, right? I wonder if there's a way to have a business with it. So the universe guided me there, doing things that were intuitively guided. My logical self wouldn't have let me do that. And that was in November of 2007. And they said, oh, come down here to Florida and and Bob is was the world's authority on Napoleon Hill's Think and Grow Rich.
Right.
There's no other person walking the planet that has put more years in, created more programs, and helped more people. And he died last year, February 3rd. So the salesperson, oh, it's going to be wonderful. We'll send you information. You'll have to gather together 8 people and teach them a mastermind on Think and Grow Rich. And I said, what the hell is Think and Grow Rich and what's a mastermind? Oh, don't worry. We'll send you the stuff. We want you here in 6 months. And it all sounded so good. I thought, oh, this is it for me, because I had 10 years of leadership and transformation. And I really wanted to go narrow, because at some point, as we're learning, we find our thing and we go deeper.
Mhm.
Right. And that's where I've now had 20,000 hours teaching it over 16 years. So then the big question came, right? What do you think the question was? How much does it cost? Well, now keep in mind that I'm a secretary making $2,500 a month clear, which is okay in 2007. I
Right.
lived okay. Yeah, I mean, I wasn't hurting for anything. And the girl said $16,000. So I said, great, I'll be there. Well, you have to understand that I had $500 in an Edward Jones account. So the possibility of having 16,000, well, she might have said 160,000. It wouldn't have mattered, so I took it off the table. It was not, I couldn't get the money. What I did was, I was so in love with the idea, I started focusing on the Think and Grow Rich they sent me, gathering the 8 people that I needed, starting the mastermind. I was 1 page or 1 chapter ahead of everybody was there. I wasn't charging. In fact, they should have charged me, because they were the guinea pigs as I was learning how to do this. And I guess 3 months before training, I got a call from my ex-husband, and he said, we're selling some stock out of the company and you've got a check for $20,000 coming. Out of the blue. So right there, I learned that money that you really want comes from unexpected sources, right? All I did was focus. I mean, I visualized it. I loved doing these masterminds. And sure enough, I went to Florida and became certified. Now I stayed, and then I stayed there with Proctor until I learned everything he had. Then I started building on top of it. So that's what people do. Everything is hybrid, right? All the personal development greats, if you look at their stuff, you'll see it's all based in Think and Grow Rich and the principles of success.
The reason I asked you that is because I had a feeling, just in the rooms that I've been able to go into, and I love hearing that, and it really brings a lot of things forward for me. And the reason I went to that question, which wasn't on the list that we shared with you of questions, was because I'm interested in how that played into the book that you've written.
Oh, and it's the whole thing.
And I had a huge feeling of that. Yes.
When you're ready to, let me know when you're ready to find out how.
Hold that thought real quick.
Okay, hold that thought. Somebody else could talk. I get it.
No, we do want to get into this is the midpoint, so we kind of talk about a few things and then we get back into, because definitely that'll make sense. And folks are probably curious of that, what's going on in your head with the feathers, and we're going to get to that in one moment. Dr. Farron, you want to talk about the
Yes, I do. So Leslie Flowers was one of our presenters at the Virtual Wellness Summit that we hosted in March. All of our presenters, 16 of our presenters were added to this magazine, the Helpful Living magazine. It is still available if you go to Creative Living Ideas website and you go to the Virtual Wellness Summit. You can see who the presenters were for last summit. You can get your digital copy or your physical copy of the magazine. You'll hear their tips about wellness, what wellness means to them, different things, how you can contact them. So many amazing articles in here that were written by the presenters. Please grab a copy of that so that you have it. It's amazing. In fact, one of our presenters, Jamie Rockymore Bess, is the actual creator of this magazine. And so she also has a magazine that you can be a part of. And so it's amazing that she sends out about quarterly, but this was a special edition for Creative Living Ideas. So those of you that don't know me, I'm a pretty multifaceted person. I own Creative Living Ideas, where I've created 9 different books, but I've also hosted, along with Damien, some large summits or different experiences. One of them we have coming up is October 4th and 5th, which is the Work-Life Balance Summit, the Professional Work-Life Balance Summit, where we're going to talk about how can you manage your self-care, social media, leadership, your career, financial situations. We've got leaders in all of these industries that are coming to speak to you. Grab your ticket now, scan the QR code that's on here right now. Early bird special tickets are $75. And so, I would grab that. It's a 2-day event at home in your pajamas. So you don't have to travel anywhere, and we have people all over the world that are presenting with us. And so it's really important that, you come to it. It's incredible. There's several people who are in the audience who have been to it, who went to the virtual wellness experience or last year's Work-Life Balance Summit. You can ask them about it. It is incredible. So grab your ticket to that. Early bird special is through August 15th, I believe. So grab your ticket then. Yeah, we've got great stuff coming.
Yeah.
All right. So Leslie Flowers, you have a feather on your head, and you've written 10 books at this point. So before we get into the book that your new book, what did you learn about yourself in the writing process of your first book?
Probably what I already knew, that I'm pretty good at organizing and delegating. The first book was in 2009, and it was an anthology.
Okay.
So it was really using anthologies are easier than writing it yourself. I mean, it's obvious for the publisher, right? For the person who's writing it. So I already knew that about myself. It was really the easier way out. I wanted to do it. 2009 was, a lot of people weren't doing self-publishing. And matter of fact, I was able to go to Lulu. I live right near Lulu Publishers. And at that time, I could go to the manufacturing facility and sit down and review my book before they printed it. Which is, you can't do that now, right? But back then, they were the only game in town, and they were in town. So that was a real advantage, mostly because it was a way to get it done. And it was also about edifying my students. The question kept coming up, what's the big deal about Think and Grow Rich? First of all, no women knew anything about it. A handful, if that. And not a lot of men did. But the most successful men in our country over the last 100 years built their businesses using those principles of success, right? And so I started seeing, women, we were coming into, the year 2000, and women were not being paid, and they still are not. In fact, the study that really turned me on to teaching women this for a number of years was the IWLA, the Institute for Women's, I can't remember it now. The IWL, doesn't matter. It was a report on the economic status of women in North Carolina in 2010. And when I went to a luncheon and there was an executive summary, thank you, Felipe. Hi, thank you for being here. I realized, after teaching this for several years, 5 years, because this was in 2013, I'd been teaching Think and Grow Rich in these masterminds for 5 years. People, men and women, couples, everybody was doing great. It was like so much fun. And I was charging $100 for 8 weeks, right? This was no money maker, right? And when I realized this and got these statistics, that's when I turned myself to women, because I realized that they could not ask for what they deserve and get paid if they couldn't meet men toe to toe in business. And let's face it, we had never been in corporate permanently or, full time. And so no one was listening to us. No one was listening to it. And we didn't have the confidence. We really didn't deserve to be paid the same. We had some learning to do, no different than if men all had decided to go home and raise the family and the women went to work. I mean, they'd have to learn about carpooling and getting all the food on the table at the same time, all those wonderful things that we learn. So I spent 5 years doing that. And that was when I was still certified. So I'm not sure where I was going with that. You want to stop me? Where was I?
No, can I ask you a question real quick?
Sure.
Because I was thinking when you were saying, speaking about confidence, Think and Grow Rich, you talk about it a lot. You've written 10 books yourself.
Yeah.
As an author, or whether you collaborated, wrote them yourself,
Yeah.
and to have the confidence to write 10 books like it, ironically, like both of y'all have a lot of, like
We're
San
women.
Francisco,
We're women.
10 books,
Women.
Well, we both read. We both read.
Summit, Virtual Wellness Summit, 10 books. How do you? And then I guess this is a question for both of you. How do you gear yourself up to say, Harry, okay, I have this story. I need to get it out of my brain, and I want to share with everybody, and have the confidence to actually do that? Because I've never written a book.
Well, I'm going to just go along with this for a moment. I do
Sure.
agree. I've read Think and Grow Rich twice. I'm on my third bout with it. And I would agree, my confidence boomed about 49 years at about the 49th year. And I just said, I'm doing it. I want to do it. I'm doing it. And honestly, Leslie speaks about this a lot. And she has said this to you and I, Damien, both. You've spoken it out loud. Now it's going. Like, right? You've said it. You have the vision. You have the mindset. Here we go. And we're going, and that's why I was so excited to talk to Leslie today, because she's had a vision, right? With this book and with the other 9, and this one I have a feeling's been brewing for years, Leslie.
The other 9 were no-brainers because they were about my expertise. They were about mastermind and universal law. They were about the work and the study that I do. This is the first fiction. So it's different. How do you do it? Well, Damien, once you've done one, it's like one step. Now I'm going to take another step. And I have a number of anthologies. Let me think. The one that I wrote, my 2014 bestseller, was originally slated to be Think and Grow Rich for Women. And it was number 1 in Women and Business. And I teach from that along with Think and Grow Rich, because that's an abbreviated version, more of a 21st century, because Think and Grow Rich is like long, right? But mine is easier. What did he say? I missed that question. That was fast. Is there a specific mind or opinion that you had when you were younger and felt strongly about this change over the years? Not much. I'll show you. Let me show you. I've always been that way. I'll show you. I'm a lot like Melissa Houston in that way. Let me just show you. I can do it. I can do anything. So it was easy. The ones that are anthologies, they came about in different ways. One of them I held an event 3 years in a row, a live women's business event with a bunch of famous speakers. And in 2018, I gathered together 26 coaches from around the world and put together a telesummit. And about halfway through it, I said, oh, would you guys like to do a book and have the book be ready for when we have our live event? And everybody goes, oh, yeah, let's do that. So I took everybody's recording for the telesummit, had it transcribed, dropped it into a book. Remember, I had done several of these before. So we were number 1 bestseller international, all of us, for like a whole month. Was it difficult to write this one? Easy peasy. Easy to write this one because of the 25 years. So what actually happened was the outline for this book was written right around 2002 and 2003. And that's all I could do because I wasn't ready. I had no idea how big this was, the story. And what I've learned is that we're co-creators with the universe, with God, if you will. And it's our greatest good that the universe wants for us. So very often, when we have a goal or we create something that's super huge, we're not a vibrational match to be successful at it. The ultimate manifestation moment and time comes from the universe. So I wasn't ready. But what I did do, I was driving to my chocolate company 4 hours on Interstate 40. It's like I-95. It's just as boring between North Carolina and DC as it is across the North Carolina on I-40. I mean, you really could take a nap while you're driving, actually. It doesn't change much.
Yeah,
And
traffic, it doesn't move. Yeah.
no, actually on 40 it moved. The thing is, you could be on cruise control, but I was bored. And at the time I was in love. I will tell you that the vibration of love and sex, I can say that, is the highest vibration, and it transmutes into creativity. So I'm driving up to my chocolate company on weekends and I'm in love with someone I can't be with. Not married, but just circumstances where that was not going to happen. And why do we fall in love with people that we know we can't be with? That's kind of another interesting topic. However, it was pretty intense. So one day as I'm driving from North Carolina, Friday afternoon, up to the mountains where the chalet is and the chocolate company is, I started imagining things. And it was all about love. Oh, he would be there with me. And so the first trip was all about going to another planet. So as soon as I got into the office, I jotted down just the notes. And then there was the topography. Then there was the climate another week. Okay. And then there was there was only 4 hours of nighttime, right? And what is it? Whatever the rest, 20 hours of daytime. But it was all the details that I had visualized in this 4 hour stretch. None of the story, just the pieces. And I went through the story, and it started on Earth here, right? Obviously. And I brought in things that I'd learned over the 25 years at the end, right? But I mean, I was doing astral traveling, which I had learned in the 60s. And visualization is the DNA of manifestation. So the more you do this, the vibration comes back. Dr. Tanya, that's the head shake of recognition, right? So,
Wait,
but
this
that,
is no, I have to stop you because I have a big question. You created a fiction romance novel based on a travel romance novel based on traveling up 40 and I-95 in visualization.
yeah, but the visualization was about another world. Yes, I did it in 4 hour
Wow.
clips once a week because it was boring, Damien. And our imagination is pretty well cut off when we're kids. So I remember the last time I was imagining, I remember the teacher saying, Leslie, stop daydreaming and pay attention to the lesson. Right. Well, it was the daydreaming that they stifled. And so you become an adult. I've had people say, I don't have an imagination. I can't use it. It's like a frozen winter faucet that hasn't been used your whole life for decades. But I'm here to tell you that you can melt it drip by drip. And imagination is a muscle that grows in direct proportion of its use, just like a weightlifter. the stronger your imagination is, and then visualizing it in real time, not out in the distance. Oh, there's Leslie. No, no. This is me doing these things. This is me gliding through the universe over the constellations. And this is part of the book. There's something going on in the universe with the constellations when I go to sleep, and then I can move over. So all this stuff was happening, but I couldn't write it, okay, because I was hurt, in love, what just wasn't ready. But a couple of years ago, a friend of mine who has a publishing online, I said, hey, would you mind publishing each episode if I wrote it? He said, sure, I'll be glad to do that. I wrote it in 12 weeks, 12 episodes in 12 weeks. But remember, I had the outline. That's why I was talking to you beforehand. I had the outline.
From daydreaming in the car. This is amazing.
And
so when
I
the kids are out
ready.
there daydreaming in the school, sometimes they're doing work.
Yes, you have hit the nail on the head. This is why Leslie Flowers is on the 2350 effect, right? So those of you, that 10 minutes of that whatever argument, bill that came in the mail that ticked you off, that you thought you paid, the power that got turned off because you thought you paid it, whatever, the dog that threw up when you were walking out the door, whatever happened.
I've used that one.
This is the other 23 hours and 50 minutes of your day. Like, take some time to daydream, to stop. That was kind of part of my, call, text, or laugh, right?
Yeah.
That time to sit and just be present and think about it, right? Could you not write a whole book of those kids playing in that raft in the ocean today, right? That could be a whole premise of a children's book. Right?
Absolutely.
Daydream. Think about what you have, what you want in life. And it's incredible what you can get when you just stop for a minute and think about it. So I love the use of your time in the car. That's what Damien's getting at. He's like, you had all this time in the car and you just started thinking this stuff up.
Well, that's musicians writing songs in the car.
Absolutely. And think about this, though. You did this when you were a kid, right? You did these things. When you wanted something, you'd pick one thing and you would focus on it and you would visualize and you would imagine yourself with your friends riding the bike down the street. You weren't worried about falling off and scabbing your knees, right? You didn't care. You didn't have those fears. So your imagination really was well developed as a child. And then we stopped using it, stopped daydreaming and pay attention to the lesson. And then we grow up as an adults and we don't dream or we don't believe that it's possible. But I will tell you that the 25 years were required because the idea is so large. I couldn't have written it, even if I had decided to, because the universe would not allow me to fail. And so it took all this time. And then the universe sent me things that I attracted, right? Then all of a sudden you see the signs. Oh, this is the right time. So Dennis said that he would publish. Great. Got that in 12 weeks. Bing, bing, bing. And all my goals pretty much with my clients are 12 weeks because I've discovered that's about as long as people will stay focused on and motivated on one goal. And the purpose is to complete the goal after all. Right. So you've got to stay motivated for the 12 weeks. Therefore, you pick something that's heart-centered that you've never done before. Because if you already knew how to do it, you would have already. Anyway, now I forgot where I was going.
Well, tell us about the feathers. Explain to everyone why you have feathers on today.
Because you asked me if I was. Because the name of the book is The Possibility of Errata. And the name came from several years that I got very invested and close to home with a Hare Krishna community in Greensboro, North Carolina. Now, these are not the Hare Krishnas that are wearing the orange gauze, jumping around in the airports bald. No, with the finger symbols. These people are way ahead of the Western world in spirituality and awareness. They pray as they cook. They offer in the name of God bits of the food before anybody tastes it. And I don't know if you've ever read the book Like Water for Chocolate, but there's a whole lot to praying and offering and acknowledging God, whoever that is for you. For me, it is one omnipresent, energetic force of love that's out for us to win, right? As a co-creator. So Krishna is the male side, one of the names for the male side, a replica of God. And Radharani is the female side. I just love that they're equal. So you could be a girl god, or you could be Radharani or Krishna. It wasn't like he was first and she was second. And my nickname was Radha. And so there's a lot of philosophy and spirituality in this book, things that I learned along the way. Those 25 years included really getting inside universal laws and understanding how our universe works and how we have a lot of anxiety over stuff we really don't need to. But we don't know about those things. So the more that this is the case for continued learning, because you out of confusion comes clarity with extra learning. And when we're confused, I don't know about you, but I don't take a step usually until I can see the light or there's some kind of clarity. So it's really all here for us. And now I'm at the other end of my life. I can tell you that it's a lifetime journey and the magic will be revealed as it is right now. Because after Dennis, about a year and a half ago, and that 12 weeks where I wrote the book, I had a friend who was a publisher, Trust the Process Publishing, and I'd known Frank Zakaria for years. And I knew I wanted to work with him. I was part of one of his anthologies. He was a very successful publisher. But you know what? I had to set a goal to save the money to invest. And it was a big investment. But I didn't have it. But remember before, the $16,000 showed up. And I know my investments are at least matched or exceeded by my results. The scary part is finding the money or, taking the risk or whatever it takes. So it took me about a year and a half to save the money. And they waited because they had read the book and they said, okay, we'll wait. And so then that happened. We started that this year. And then the next thing that happened was about 2 or 3 months ago, I'm watching Soul Man Live, and my friend Nick is a sponsor, and I'm watching these. Well, I love the music. I mean, it's just so spirited. But I start seeing these montages that her executive producer's putting together with Nick turning into all these.
We're going to get to that in one moment.
Okay. The feathers.
No, I don't, because we have something that you want to share with them. So just hold on to that one to get to the feathers.
Oh, the feathers. Well, on Errata, the feathers. I'm having a lot of fun with this fiction. And I've been changing my profile picture. And the person who created, which we'll get into, you have to understand that he took a picture of me at 17 when I was modeling. And so what you're going to see is me living a life at 17 as though it's now. So it's really freaky for the crushing and collapsing together of time. Because when I was that age, I had no clue what I looked like. And I look at it now and I go, oh my God, why didn't my parents take me to Hollywood or something, Because you don't see yourself that way when you're young. But now I can look back and I go, holy mackerel. So what I do know is all the guys are going to go nuts trying to find that girl. She's here, but she's older, right? But they'll never find her, right?
So when I watched Leslie last Friday or something on her show, or maybe this, I don't even remember when it was.
Somebody else's, yeah. Paulette hosted her.
She had on a gray wig. silver wig, whatever color hair you want to call it. And I was teasing her, I love you, the wig, love the wig. Why are you wearing the wig tonight? So she came with feathers, just for something fun. So of course we love having fun. Fun. It's fun. Just having fun. Absolutely.
We're kids again. We're kids again.
That's right. That's right.
Yeah. So,
David, are you going to show us a teaser or something?
Or are you teasing
You
us?
have one more question before we.
Well, go ahead. Ask another question. He likes to stick to. Go ahead. Dr.
So
Tanya?
you talked about Soul Man Live, Aaron. Taking a picture of you 17 and putting it together, and those people who haven't seen it, definitely look and see it. What were you like at 17 years old? What is 17-year-old Leslie Flowers?
I was a smart ass.
And does 17-year-old Leslie Flowers come out in this book?
No.
Okay.
It's the current Leslie Flowers who you see the soul, which was there when I was that age, but I didn't know it, nor could I see it, nor did I have the awareness. This is the current one. Thank you, Dr. Marcia. Thank you. Thank you. I think Nick asked me a question. Did I have trouble with this book? But it's your show, so you decide.
No, you can answer that question because you did say it took about 25 years to actually write the book. So we can definitely get to that question.
But I didn't do anything in the 25 years with it. It was hibernating. You see, once you start an idea that you fall in love with this desperately, it's in incubation. And you're supposed to think about it frequently. But I just put it to rest. I was in a lot of pain from my divorce, and I was also in love, and I was a mess. Anybody ever been there? I was an emotional mess. And part of the reason I did the visualization, because I was bored. I didn't know what to do. My roots had been cut. I was untethered from the earth. I was lost. My kids were on their own, and my husband, who I'd spent 33 years with, we'd grown up together. So we were like hitched at the hip. And so that kind of separation, I just was a lost soul, really, for a long time. And, but I finally forgave myself. And through the years, he and I became best friends again. There are no regrets. The family came back together, and he passed away in January this year with no regrets, and really left us all in a good place. So I'm very grateful for that.
Thank you for sharing that.
Sure.
So we're gonna share the teaser, but you want to kind of now tell us what it was about, who did it, how did it come about before we share it?
Sure. Well, because I know we're almost at the top of the hour. So first I met Dennis, who said, okay, if you want to do this, I just got an idea. Okay, it's time. Let's write the book. I got the outline. How difficult could it be? It was so easy because I knew exactly right here. I am here. Here I am here. This is what the light is like. And this is how it all happened. That was all worked out. All I had to do was and I've been writing for years. I'm a really good descriptive writer. I can write in someone else's voice. In fact, I helped someone start a publishing business. I'm a gold standard line editor, and I have formatted and fulfilled digital and print copies, 17 books, bringing 35 people to bestseller status. So it was easy peasy, right? That part of it. So then I found Frank and Trust Yourself Publishing and Melissa Van Oss, saved up the money for that, right? No hurry. And then 3 or 4 months ago, I'm watching Soul Man Live that Aaron Gibson puts out. And I see that Nick is the sponsor, and he's doing a montage of her like, oh my God, it's just so incredible, right? And I thought, that's what I want. I want a promo for my book. So I connected with Aaron and I asked him, he had me on the show actually, and we'd become friends. I said, would you be willing to take a look at this storyboard and could you help me? And that's all she wrote. He did the beginning, and then someone tapped me on the shoulder and said, hey, I want to sponsor a longer promo. So they sponsored, and the promo was now 7 minutes, and it is extraordinary, and it has all those things that I wanted. But now I want you to know something. If you remember when you were 17 and you fell in love, remember the crush when you could tell they were coming in the classroom, even if your back was to the door, and you saw their face in the mashed potatoes, right? Because that's all you could think about was this person, right? So remember that this story was built on an intense love affair. It was kind of made up in a way because I was so hurt. It wasn't the real thing, but it sure felt real. Anyway, what happened was the poor guy poor Aaron, he became the guy again. And so for 3 weeks, I've been gaga, right, over the mail in this. And I was worried when it was finished that, oh, am I going to be able to get over this? Because, crushes are pretty tough. But I was cool the next day. It's fine. It's a great place to play, right? To play in your imagination. And he is so good at what he does. And we spent 3 weeks creating this video, which Saturday night on Nick's show at 8:00, we're going to release the whole thing, but you've got a couple minutes right here so that people can kind of get a flavor. This is what did I say? It was a minute or 2 minutes? It's 2 minutes. The full trailer is 7 minutes, and it's mind-blowing. So does that answer all your questions, Damien?
Perfect. So I'm gonna play the trailer right now.
Okay.
The 2-minute trailer, not the 7-minute one. That's gonna be on Nick's show. Nick is out there. Connect with her. Go to her show and get the full trailer effect.
Music is a little rough. Don't worry about the music, everybody.
All right.
Yeah, what happened?
Thank you, the Bowman himself.
Oh, there he is. What happened to the audio? Did you guys hear it okay?
You didn't hear the audio?
Not much.
Oh, I was able to hear it.
Okay, good.
It was a little choppy, but maybe the audience could hear it better.
Okay.
I don't know. Yes.
There's
Are
the
you-
genius himself.
Nice job, Aaron. Thank you for doing that. That was amazing. Congrats to you all. What a wonderful collaboration. And a great story and inspiration to other people. Leslie, you started with an idea and you wrote it down, and I'm sure you could go through lots of steps together, but trying new things and reaching out to people, having the courage to ask for help is huge. I couldn't have written my books without the help of my team. And I do not know how to do it all myself. And asking people, most people are willing to lend a hand or to wait for the money to come or whatever the case may be, to sponsor you, something like that. So incredible work. That's beautiful. Will you be releasing that trailer for people to just be able to watch at some point in time?
Well, this one is available now. I've got it posted.
Oh, okay. You have it posted?
It's featured.
Okay.
It's featured on my my profile page. You can watch it anytime you want.
Okay.
The 7-minute one I watch whenever I feel like it.
I love it. I love it. I can't wait to see that one too. And when can people get your book, Leslie? When is it coming?
Okay, it's a pre-order. The goal is to be #1 bestseller, domestic and international, and the categories are science fiction and philosophy. How about that? Isn't that kind of fun? So you'll pre-order on the 25th at 99 cents, and then the digital copy will come to you after that.
And where do they order it? Is it Amazon or is it on
Amazon? Yeah.
Okay,
On the 25th, the links will be released. And just so the audience knows, those who live in the United States, the first 250 purchases, they will receive a keepsake gift from the 2 leads from Errata in the mail as an incentive to go ahead and be one of the first 250. It's a beautiful bookmark. It's signed with a thank you card and special envelope from me. So that's an incentive to be one of the first 250. So yeah. So that you're really pre-ordering, which is not the same as getting the book that minute. You're doing it so that I can hit #1 bestseller, and then the copy will follow. It's a process that some people use. Yeah. Does that make sense? I know it is exciting. I mean, it's so exciting. I just can't tell you. There's nothing in the way. There's nothing in the way. You know how there's always something in the way? There's nothing in the way. And I don't even know where it's going, except that it's going out there. Right? So lots of exciting times. And it's really, there's a small, tight circle of people. And then there's another circle of about 40 people who are supporting this effort. But in this inside circle, my mastermind are Frank and Melissa with Trust the Process Publishing, and Aaron, and Nick, who is a collaborator, and Paulette, who is an advisor. So those people are the ones that are really bringing this all together. And then I see so many people in the chat of people that are right there with me. By the way, it's a heck of a love story. So there's a lot of mystery in science fiction. There's astral traveling. And the whole purpose of the book is to live a life of values, virtues, and soul-crushing love. Are we ready?
I love that. I'm getting my copy for sure. I definitely will do that.
So, as always, we end the show with favorite quote. What is your favorite quote of the period or the week or whatever?
Well, my favorite quote of all time so far that takes the top of the list is, if one advances confidently in the direction of their dreams and endeavors to live the life they've imagined, they will meet with success in hours uncommon. Henry David Thoreau. Basically, if one advances confidently, just take a step or two in the direction of your dreams, lean that way, and endeavors to live the life you've imagined. Just try. Your success will come from unexpected sources. You'll meet with success in unexpected hours or uncommon hours. I always get that mixed up. But that is the real truth, that your success will not come from where you expect it because it's bigger than you. So that's my favorite quote.
Nice. Dr. Farron?
Thank you.
You're on mute.
Typical for me. You were just making me think, we've talked a lot about dreaming and thinking and creating possibilities as children. And Irma Bombeck is one of my favorite authors, had been since I was younger in the 70s and living in California, reading her column. But she has a lot of quotes about parenting and children. And I always, there's a few things that I remember from her, like, go ahead and use the good dishes. Basically, like, what are you saving them for? Good towels, what are you saving them for? But I have a few in my parenting book of hers, and the one is about that we see children as kites. We let them off the ground, they crash, they burn, we patch them back up, we add another ribbon to the end of their tail, and we send them back off again. And I think if we keep that in the forefront of our mind as we're going through life, sometimes we do. Sometimes we have a stumbling block or something, and we have to patch things up and maybe point in another direction or ask for help. So yeah, back to Irma. She's one of my faves.
Love her.
Nice.
Damien, what's yours?
So, mine this week is so I'm just so many positive feedback and individuals out there who are giving. So my favorite quote this week is this. If it's costing you to be kind, imagine and do the inventory of how much it costs you not to be.
Oh, I love that. Love that. That's beautiful. Very beautiful.
It is. It takes more energy not to be.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. I love
So, with that said, Leslie Flowers has her new book coming up sometime next week. She's also going to be on Nick's show, which is Never in Control, on Saturday at 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, with Nick, and produced by Soul Man Aaron Gibson, who did that lovely video, and the 7-minute video will be there as well. We are here every single week with the 2350 Effect. Next week, we have 2 individuals coming on next week as well. And Leslie, thank you for coming. I'm excited for you about your book, your 10th book, 25 years in the making, written on 95 and 40.
No, 40. I said
40,
it's boring
probably.
as 95 is, but it's Interstate 40 across North Carolina.
Born in Interstate 40, written and driving. It's an amazing story, and it's definitely an example of how we can utilize our imagination to go far in the world. And I thank you for showing up, and thank you as well, Dr. Farron. And everyone, we are going to wish you a good and happy night. Goodbye, everyone.
Bye, everybody. Thank you for coming.
Thank you for attending the 2350 Effect. If you are interested in becoming a guest or a sponsor, please contact Damien or Dr. Tanya. Join us every Sunday at 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time for the 2350 Effect.